vision from the brain, seeing the beauty through the...
What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to part 2 of What If Kevin Harvick Never Left Richard Childress Racing. If you guys didn't see part 1, I suggest you go watch it because you'll probably be somewhat confused, even though I will go through and, like, recap what's happened to this point. It'd just be probably a lot easier if you guys just watch part 1, so you know everything that happened to this point, because I won't touch on every little thing. But anyways, if you guys haven't, go check that out. But if you're here for part 2, welcome back to part 2. This will be covering the 2017-2018, or it'll be the 2018-2019, and then we'll set up the 2020 season. But since the season's not over, we're not going to predict like how the season ends in this. So yeah. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure you like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below your guys' thoughts. Also, I want to give some quick disclaimers. This obviously didn't happen, not the way it went down. And even if he were to stay at RCR, Kevin Harvick were to stay at RCR, this probably isn't the exact way. This is just what me and Chinry20 both came up with in like probably took about 3 hours to make, so it took a while to make, but it was a lot of fun doing, and we already are getting ready to start on our second What If. But if you guys have any suggestions, be sure to put them down below, and maybe we'll get to it next. And yeah, that's all. That's really all I got. Like I said, it's not an exact depiction of how it would have gone, but it's in our eyes the way we saw it. So without further ado, let's go ahead, and I'm going to recap what happened. Alright, so here are your 2017-2018 off-season moves. It's a pretty good one. Ryan Blaney still goes to the 12 for 2018, leaving the 21 vacant, and Paul Menard stays content with Roush, and that leaves the 21 still vacant, and Casey Kane will replace what would have been Paul Menard and is Ryan Blaney at this point. He goes to the Wood Brothers since he's still kicked out of Hendrick Motorsports for William Byron, and he just doesn't go to Levine Family Racing because he feels that Wood Brothers is a better opportunity. And that leaves the 95 open, which is filled by Matt DiBenedetto, who goes to the team 1 year early. Remember, they're not aligned with Joe Gibbs Racing. And after a promising rookie season, Eric Jones stays with the 78 as Gibbs decides, what, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and hopes to see growth in the next season, keep the team intact, and all of that fun stuff right there. And that means Matt Kenseth will stay in the 20 car for another year because it's obvious. I mean, he just came back. He was not intending on retiring. He's never really used the word retirement for leaving the sport, and I don't see any reason why, if he was given another year, why he would not have taken it. I mean, we see he came back in 2018 with Roush Fenway Racing. Why wouldn't he just stay with Joe Gibbs if he has that option? And due to lack of free agents, Chip Ganassi is forced to keep David Reagan for one more year. Starting with SHR here for the 2018 season, they had their dominant season like they did in real life. MTJ dominated like he did in real life with 6 wins, 22 top 5s, and 25 top 10s. The rest of SHR had their seasons. Almirola still won, Kurt won, Clint had his 2 wins. Great year for SHR. Remember, this was the year RCR and Chevy moved over to the Chevy Camaro. I still see them having a down year with Harvick, who only gets 3 wins, 17 top 5s, and 22 top 10s. Dillon still wins the Daytona 500, but has a rough season overall, along with Newman and along with the rest of Chevy. Roush Fenway Racing, Menard does Menard stuff, Busher does Busher stuff. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. JTG Daughtery, Jamie McMurray does his thing. Over at Furniture Row, though, the Eric Jones-Cole Pern partnership is really working, hitting its stride with 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 22 top 10s. Over at JGR, Matt Kenseth in the 20 gets 1 win, 11 top 5s, and 20 top 10s, a Matt Kenseth-esque season. Remember, Kenseth is still over there because we don't think he really planned on retiring in 2017. Jones doesn't kick him out because Gibbs wants him to, stay with the team he has over at Furniture Row. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Wood Brothers Racing with Casey Kane. He has a solid season until getting replaced by Regan Smith due to health issues still. And Chip Ganassi Racing, David Reagan in the 1. Kyle Larson does Kyle Larson, but David Reagan in the 1 just has a disappointing season. An improvement on last year, but still disappointing. And last but not least, for our just drivers that I've moved around, Levine Family Racing, Matt DiBenedetto have a decent season. Not much improvement, but remember, they don't have the Joe Gibbs partnership, but a solid season for the team nevertheless. And now let's get into our 2018 results. Alright, so Alex Bowman is the first one to get kicked out, or is the only one that got kicked out of the playoffs. He is kicked out by Matt Kenseth, so we'll see how that affects him in the offseason. Kenseth and Eric Jones both made the round of 12, which then kicked Almirola out in the round of 16. Remember, he won in the round of 12, so that leaves a spot open for the round of 8. Kevin Harvick also has a terrible round of 12 because of the RCR struggles and is unable to get out of the round, which this pushes Eric Jones and Ryan Blaney into the round of 8. And that, don't worry, don't get any farther. But without Harvick in the round of 8, that means that leaves a spot open for the Final Four. And because everybody who wasn't in the Final Four did terrible, Chase Elliott gets the benefit of the doubt. He was the closest to the cutoff line. He makes his first Final Four appearance, but is not able to get the championship done. And with SHR equipment, MTJ, driving the number 4, wins his second championship in 2018 and really changing up his legacy. I mean, some people think he might be a one-hit wonder, but in this reality, he already has 2 championships heading into 2019 with plenty of time left to get another one. Alright, so quite a bit of stuff to break down here in the 2018-2019 offseason. Starting with Ryan Newman, who signs with the 21 team. I still see him leaving RCR after 2018. I don't see why he would stay. And this causes the shutdown of the number 31 team, and without somebody to drive the 6, the shutdown of the number 6 team over at Roush. So just like that, if you're wondering what Roush is looking like right now, they have Chris Buescher in the 16 and Ricky Stenhouse in the 17. Paul Menard, obviously, is this Paul Menard's last season? This is Paul Menard's last season. My bad. He hasn't retired yet, so he's still driving the 99 as well. So we got the 99 of Paul Menard, 17 of Ricky Stenhouse, and 16 of Chris Buescher. Moving on down, David Reagan returns to front row, not furniture row. I almost said furniture row, but he returns to front row to pilot. I think he piloted the 34, correct, in that year. So shout out to him. AJ Allmendinger, he will stay another year. Remember, he retired, but without Chris Buescher piloting the 37, they signed Ryan Preece to drive the 37, and then AJ Allmendinger stays in the 47. JGR, he keeps Furniture Row alive. Joe Gibbs does because of how well the Eric Jones and Cole Pern partnership's working. JGR, he's like, okay, well, you're kind of helping out my prospect. We'll keep Suarez another year with JGR since there's not like really a much pressure to get him out of there because obviously Eric Jones is just doing just fine over there at Furniture Row. This is kind of one of the things where it really could have gone either way. They could have just kicked out Suarez and put in Eric Jones, but we just felt that because Eric Jones is doing so well over there, JGR is a little bit more lenient with his contract. Like, all right, since you got one of our prospects over there instead of just MTJ, who we can just sign to our team, we'll go ahead and give him another year. But you can really take this any way. It could have gone the way of Furniture Row still closing, but I guess we were kind of feeling bad for Furniture Row for closing, so we decided to revive him for this. But anyways, that's how we saw it happening. Because Suarez stays another year with JGR, Kurt Busch stays with Stewart-Haas Racing, and Ross Chastain is promoted to the 1 because Chip Ganassi doesn't really have any other options except for John Hunter Nemechek, who at that point is not really a proven driver, so neither is Ross Chastain. But Ross Chastain gets the nod and is promoted to the 1 about probably 2 or 3 years earlier than he will be in real life. And that's not really because we really like Ross Chastain. There just legitimately was not nobody else to really put in there, so he put Ross Chastain in there. Alright, so we're at the 2019 season, and this is the final season of our What If, and we're going to start with Stewart-Haas Racing. And starting with them, Kurt Busch stays in number 41, still gets his win at Kentucky, and gets 8 top 5s along with 20 top 10s. MTJ at SHR has the same season he had over at JGR in real life, so nothing really changed there, still a great season. Over at RCR, Kevin Harvick has a down year with 3 wins, 12 top 5s, and 23 top 10s. I mean, it's a solid season, great season actually, but for Kevin Harvick, that's low on his standards, and he starts to become frustrated with the organization. Austin Dillon, though, he gets just has an Austin Dillon-esque year, like what he had in real life, so nothing much really changed there. Over at Roush, though, Menard, you can interpret what Menard did. I mean, it's just a Menard-esque season. But Chris Buescher, though, is actually able to make the playoffs with a solid season, much like Ryan Newman did in the 6th car this year, so we expect Buescher to do the same in the 16. Over at JGR, Daniel Suarez stays in the 19 and just has a decent season, has a better season than he did over at Stewart-Haas Racing, and is actually able to get into the playoffs as well. Matt Kenseth gets a win, gets 10 top 5s and 18 top 10s. I mean, that's just what you expect from Matt Kenseth. He sneaks in a win, always gets in the top 5 and top 10, and gets into the playoffs. So, and remember, he is at the 20 because Eric Jones driving number 78, Furniture Row, Toyota. I don't know why I did that, but he gets 3 wins, 16 top 5s, 24 top 10s as the partnership with him and Cole Pern grows more and more. Over at Wood Brothers Racing, though, Ryan Newman, much like over at Roush in real life, is actually able to get that 21 into the playoffs with 5 top 5s and 16 top 10s. Levine Family Racing, Matty D still has his breakout race at Bristol, but remember they don't have the JGR Alliance, so they weren't as consistent, but still gets that breakout race at Bristol and has a solid season for the team. And lastly, Chip Ganassi Racing, Ross Chastain just had a up and down season. It wasn't completely consistent. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. Just an up and down season all in all. Alright, so now it is time for the results. Remember, Suarez, Buescher, Newman, and Kenseth all made the playoffs, kicking out Clint Bowyer, William Byron, and Eric Almirola. Suarez, Kurt Busch, Chris Buescher, and Newman are all eliminated in the round of 16. Jones and Kenseth are both eliminated in the round of 12. Harvick has a round of 8 exit because of, the fact that he's in RCR equipment, and he is replaced by Joey Logano in the final 4. And without the crew member mistakes, MTJ wins his 3rd championship in a row. And come on, guys, I know this sounds crazy, and I've said this before all this happened. It's not exactly how it would work out, but I would say this is probably the most likely of all the championship changes because remember, MTJ was bad fast in that championship. Even after having his tires put on the incorrect way, all the stuff, all the adversity, he was still catching on Kyle Busch. If that was a longer race, he most definitely would have been able to catch up to him, but unfortunately was not able to. Without the JGR crew that he had making the mistakes they made, he is able to finish the job and get his 3rd championship in a row, completely changing up his legacy. And with that said, let's move on to our final segment of the video, the 2020 offseason. Right, so we are here for the 2019 and 2020 offseason. There's so much stuff that kind of happens here that I'm just going to go ahead and use the face cam. But after missing the playoffs 2 or 3 years, remember he missed it in 2017 anyways, like in real life, so that still happens in this. And then he missed it last year because he got kicked out by all the new guys moving in there. So after missing 2 or 3 years, Clint Bowyer is replaced by Kevin Harvick, who is disgruntled by RCR's performance in the past 2 years, decides to jump ship and join Stewart-Haas Racing to pilot the number 14 Ford. So that's very interesting. Never would have thought that would have happened. But moving on, SHR actually formed an alliance with Levine Family Racing, who signs Cole Custer to the team. Now, I don't know how necessarily realistic this is, but the reason that we did this was because Kevin Harvick was moved over. We still have Kurt Busch in the 41. We still have Eric Almirola in the 10, Kevin Harvick in the 14, and then Martin Truex Jr. in the 4. Well, Cole Custer, he had a really great season. SHR is worried about losing him. He had a great season in the Xfinity Series. So they formed an alliance with the LFR, more lucrative than the one they signed with Go Fast Racing this year. Obviously, the Vine Family Racing is faster than Go Fast at this point, but they get a more lucrative deal with SHR. Cole Custer gets the nod, goes to the 95. They switch to Ford, obviously, and so now he is going to drive for Levine Family Racing. So just kind of a reverse Joe Gibbs, I guess you could say. But after being suggested by Paul Menard, the former driver of the 99, Matt DiBenedetto signs with Roush Fenway Racing to pilot the 99 and take over the reins for Paul Menard, just like he did with the 21. So the same thing happens here, and it all works out for Matt DiBenedetto. AJ Allmendinger retires from the 47, which is filled by Corey LaJoie, who isn't saved by the SHR partnership. We don't know who went to Go Fast Racing, but a lot of the reason that he stayed with that was because SHR, gave him a little boost in money, and so that allowed Corey LaJoie to stay with Go Fast Racing. That doesn't happen in here, and he goes to the 47, which is opened by AJ Allmendinger's retirement, and there wasn't really anybody else to sign there. But Cole Pearn still retires, and then Gibbs decides to move Eric Jones to the number 20 and brings Christopher Bell. Cole Pearn still retires, even though Eric Jones is younger, but I don't know, that wouldn't really change anything. So Cole Pearn retires. This gives Gibbs the idea to move Eric Jones over to number 20, and then he brings Christopher Bell up to the 78. Now, we don't know. I mean, obviously the equipment of Furniture Row is going to be better than the equipment of Levine Family Racing, but we don't know if the crew chief is going to work out. We don't know how that's all going to work out, so I mean, just take that up to interpretation. And then lastly, after Kyle Larson does his thing, he still does it. COVID still happens. Don't worry, Kevin Harvick moving to RCR doesn't stop COVID from happening. Matt Kenseth will still drive the 42 because he, got replaced, so he's out of it. Anyways, that is all for the 2019-2020 offseason, and that is all for this What If. So I hope you guys did enjoy this What If. You guys really smashed the like button on part 1. And you guys just seem to really enjoy that one. So I hope you guys do enjoy this one. Me and Chinnery, literally as soon as I stop recording on this one, me and Chinnery are going to start working on our next one. And we hopefully get that out in the next week or two. So be sure, if you haven't already, subscribe so you guys can see the next What If. If you guys have any suggestions for future What Ifs, go ahead and comment down below. Or if you have any questions you guys have for me. If you guys saw something that you guys feel would have happened another way, let us know. We want to hear where we went wrong and stuff like that. And maybe if you guys want to see something else in the What Ifs, go ahead and put them down below. So yeah, that's really all I got. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.